I recorded my husband before ghosting him. I've listened to Mark since early COVID times, and it's always been a very positive influence, probably because I'm pretty introverted outside of my work and don't have many people to share my vulnerability with. But Mark sharing his own stories, opinions, and being both silly and vulnerable has always felt like having that one friend who's always there, even if you don't talk for years. Thanks for that, seriously. I've tried to post on Reddit before, while my situation was unfolding, but was never able to find the right words and courage. However, now the story seems to be wrapping up, and sharing it will be the cathartic thing I need now. For the last 5 years, I, 39F, have been with G, 39, married for one, who's a covert narcissist. I only learned about narcissism, and specifically covert ones, last year, and it shook my world to the core. All the pieces just fell together, and it took me many months to come to terms with it and accept the fact that G will never ever change, or even see the wrong of his ways, so to say. 4 months ago, I managed to get away from him under the pretense of visiting family in another country. 5 days ago, he sent me a disgusting 7-page letter outlining all the ways I'd been a terrible wife and person, dirty, lazy, crazy, unstable, not fit to be a mother, and concluded with him saying if I come to my senses, he'll take me back. It was a relief in its own way, because I've been still resisting to accept him being a narc, unable to hear me and change, but this spiteful letter only reinforced my understanding. I simply replied, okay, and ghosted him. I feel so stupid for not having ended it sooner, even though all the classic red flags were there. Isolation, constant criticism and passive aggression, financial and emotional abuse, slowly escalating to physical one. I feel guilty. What was so wrong with me to have stayed for so long? A little backstory. I am a senior teacher in a private school, and I help new hires with onboarding. I mostly work from home, online, and it's a busy and demanding job because of constant interactions with people. I used to work myself to exhaustion as a coping mechanism to escape from G's constant attacks. A week before I was to leave for my home country, G told me he wasn't coming home till late BC. He was meeting his buddies in a bar. So I finished a particularly exhausting working day and needed an hour to unwind before cleaning the house and making dinner. So I went for a walk. However, when I returned, G was home seething. He immediately started yelling at me that he had to come home to a terrible mess and what kind of wife I was for not making the house nice for him to come back to. I tried to explain that I needed a break, but he shoved his phone in my face saying, "Watch it." He made a video of the sink with dirty dishes and some minor stuff scattered around, made me watch it, and told me that he was going to send it to his family group chat so they understand why he kicked me out. Then his monologue started taking a bizarre turn even to his standards, and me having been gaslit in the past, I took my phone and told him that I was recording this conversation for my own protection. He told me I was crazy, but not a minute later kind of forgot that I was recording and talked at me for entire 40 minutes, reiterating how bad of a wife I was. It all ended with him grabbing a full can of beer and yanking it at the table, smashing his pizza, his MacBook, and everything. After that, he paused and pretended to be genuinely surprised at the mess and started making his way to me, but I locked myself in my office. I focused on just surviving through that final week. It was difficult and scary, and left to my home country. I can't tell you enough how euphoric it felt to see my family again after more than 14 months of staying with G. Waking up without constant dread was so liberating. However, he slowly started crawling back, sweet-talking me and so on. I admit I wanted to believe that I was diagnosing him as a narc without any psychology background. I was exaggerating, he wasn't so bad, blah, blah, blah. One day I listened to that audio, and all the dread and hopelessness came flooding back. I told him I'd never fly back to his country because I had to protect myself. After 4 months of trying to convince me with promises to be better, he told me I must come back. I said that I didn't feel safe, and that's when I got that 7-page letter. One thing that makes me feel so weird is him saying I betrayed him by making that recording and not wanting to delete it, as if I am constantly holding it over his head. I've never shown that recording to anyone, and I don't plan to, but I'm still holding on to it, and now that ugly letter. The funny thing is, that letter is almost word for word identical to what I recorded back then. I know I did the right thing by fleeing. I guess I should have been stronger and blocked him as soon as my plane landed. I regret not leaving sooner. Regret giving him so much forgiveness and accepting that mistreatment for so long. But I can't shake off the feeling that I deserved it, because I stayed. I do realize it's above Reddit's pay grade. To soothe my torn feelings here, I just wanted to vent and thank you for reading. Please always trust your gut. If someone doesn't feel safe, they most likely are not. Protect your heart and give love to those who deserve it. That's yourself, first of all. Much love, X.